Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server. We are once again with our mutation Stalker Tiger Shrike, who is level 34, 226,000 XP away from level 35, so we're about 6 beats of the way in. And we have been asked by our contact Peter Stemets to talk to Azuria because she found out what's inside the crystals and she's very upset. She's going to probably tell us they're dead people. So she says the circle mystic Acarist pointed our research in the proper direction. Thanks to him, we know exactly what these crystals are. They're receptacles, crystalline cages for the souls of those who've been cast from their bodies by the Circle of Thorns. Brightly glowing crystal contains over a dozen souls, from an ancient Roman centurion to a Dawn Patrol hero who disappeared in the late 30s. That shadowed crystal is a prison for souls who have been uncooperative. We believe that they are two spirits trapped in there right now. Finally, the clear crystal is used to transport captured souls. It seems you didn't raid a library of arcane lore, but a library of souls. One of the displaced souls told us a horrifying thing about the Circle's spirit thorns. We aren't sure we can trust it yet, but we do know that the Circle plans to release several of these spirit thorns onto the black market. You must stop this. So we're going to have to go recover those spirit thorns. Oddly, it didn't give me a clue. Okay. So now we are going to head over to TALOS Island, which is just a short hop of the train away, and we will recover the spirit thorns. This is a pretty cool storyline. I really like the Library of Lost Souls. It's one of my top ones, along with the Wheel of Destruction, and I like Bonefire a lot in the low levels. Oopleman's pretty good. Mysterious General Z is pretty good. There's some pretty nice story arcs in here. We've actually done quite a few of them if you look into our souvenirs. Look at all that. We've completed quite a few story arcs. Okay, so now we are going to head across the zone and recover the Spirit Thorns. As we go, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the innovations of this game. In the past, I talked about the fact that there's absolute freedom in the Z-axis. Like, literally, it's a true three-dimensional game, which you didn't really find very often in 2004. I then talked about the instance missions and sidekicks, and how basically they try to arrange it so that whatever your group, from 1 person to 8, whatever your level range of people who are playing, you could all get together, go into a mission, and it would be pretty much exactly the right difficulty for you. And they, it wasn't perfect. I've had to up the difficulty level because it would be too easy if everything was a white con. But in general, they did a really good job of scaling these missions for the group size and for the level you are, and with sidekicking and everything else, they really made it easy for people to get together as friends and play with each other. And that is not the case. Let's see what's upstairs. I think we might want to start upstairs first, yeah, because this guy is going to see me. That's not the case in a lot of other games. That in a lot of other games you can't play with your level 7 friend. In fact, years after this game came out, I remember playing Star Wars The Old Republic. And again, that game really didn't do anything in terms of sidekicking in those days. I don't know what it does now. But we had people who were playing like crazy and people who weren't, and there were 20 or 30 levels between us, and we really couldn't effectively play together. You could have the high level come into a low level mission and just own it, but we really couldn't do anything to effectively play together when we were playing on that in that game. And several of us were like, man, if this was City of Heroes, we could just sidekick up, right? Or mentor down, right? Once they started the reverse sidekick. Again, that was something that came in later, but it worked really well and enabled people of higher levels to go into lower level missions and people of lower levels to go into higher level missions with the regular sidekicking. And so together, it all worked really well, and it allowed you to stay together and play with each other. And it's really clear that City of Heroes, although they have wonderful pickup group mechanisms for finding groups, they also knew people were going to want to play with their friends, and they made it easy to do. So we've talked about those two things. The next thing I want to talk about, which you haven't seen much, and you probably won't because I'm not going to die very often with this character since I know what I'm doing, and whoops, that was a misclick. I did not mean to click instant healing. Just after saying I know what I'm doing. It shouldn't harm us to have done that by accident. It's no problem. You're not going to see it a lot because I'm not going to die a lot, but one of the things that City of Heroes implemented... Wow, is this small of a base? Looks like it. One of the things City of Heroes implemented that was, I believe, fairly new at the time, and may have been a completely new, I'm not sure, was debt when you died. So let's read the clue and then I'll continue that thought. So we recovered the spirit thorns that they were going to put on the black market. That is a really tiny mission. And we got an enhancement too, which we won't need. So now we're going to call Peter. I guess not. What do we have to do now? Oh, go back to Azoria. Okay, so we will head to Azoria. And as we go, rather than pause it, I'm just going to continue my conversation about experience debt. So, what is experience debt? Experience debt is a penalty that the game imposes upon you for losing, for being defeated, right? In common MMO terms, even though in this game nobody dies, right? In this game you are defeated and you go to the hospital and they recover you, right? In like a back-to-tank. In most games, because most games before this were fantasy games where you were attacking each other with swords and lethal weapons, and in fantasy worlds when you lose you die, right? When you fall to the ground you're dead. Because most MMOs were fantasy based, other than maybe Anarchy Online, which was sci-fi, having your hit points go down to 0 meant that you died. And so that's a bad thing. You shouldn't be wanting to die. And starting with, Ultima Online, for example, and based on the way video games worked, death is failure and there's a penalty. Now, in a lot of video games, what happens is your party has wiped and you have to start over from your last save point. But in an MMO, and so that's your penalty, and so what people do is save a lot. Right, and depending on the game, it may or may not let you save a lot. Sometimes you got to go all the way back to the start of whatever level you're on, or something like that. In Ultima Online, they couldn't have that work that way because the game is permanently always saving everything, right? And because it's the way the online game has to work, and so there isn't a save point that you can go back to. And so they had to come up with a different way to sort of punish you for dying. And I'll continue that thought after we talk to Azoria. So she says, from the souls trapped in the crystals, we've learned the true nature of the spirit thorns. We always assumed they were relics of power given to the circle's favored members. Now we know that they are traps. When a mage plunges a spirit thorn into his heart, it opens a gateway into his very soul that the circle can exploit. Through it, they can possess the thorn bearer, overriding his will, supplanting and imprisoning his very soul. Tiger Shrike. This is a vile and evil magic. Thank you for preventing its spread. Now we will call Peter. And he says, trapped souls in crystals, spirit thorns that destroy souls, the circle of thorns presiding over it all from the depths of Oren Bega. It's unbelievable. I'm simply amazed that the circle has been has been using those spirit thorns to override the souls of new devotees. I never knew they cannibalized their own acolytes. So now, the souls trapped within the circle's crystals continue giving Azoria information about the sunken city of Oren Bega. One of them claims to know the location of the great library of souls, where many more spirits are kept. Will you take the crystal containing the dead man's soul to find the place where he died? So now we're going to do that. Clue. The soul of Ashton Fletcher. And so now we have to find landmarks in Talos Island and find out where he died. So, Ultima Online comes out in the mid-late 90s, 96, I think. And what happens when you die? Well, the solution, as far as I know, and I never played Ultima Online, but I've had a friend who did, and he told me about, how it played. I believe the solution originally, and they may have changed it afterwards, was you die, and your body is in the dungeon, and now you're like a soul wandering around, and you have to somehow find a way to be resurrected, and then go back and get your stuff, right? And then EverQuest implemented something similar to this, where you would, I don't know if EverQuest implemented anchor points, right, where you would anchor your soul to a particular point. If you died, you would go back to that point. Your body would be left in the grass where you died, and then you would have to, maybe you'd regenerate naked, right, and then you'd have to run to your dead body and get your stuff back. And lots of other MMOs, by the time City of Heroes came out in 2004, were doing this. This was called the Corpse Run. You had to run naked through the area that you had died while fully geared, and try to make it to your body, and then pick your stuff back up. And that was considered a pretty harsh death penalty. And most MMOs were doing things like the Corpse Run. In conjunction with that, some games also cause you to lose experience, right? So we're level 34 up here. You might drop all the way back down to 0 beads of level 34, and then you'd have to work your way back up again, right? And players detested this, right? They didn't mind some sort of a penalty, but the idea of losing all this work that you did was really frustrating. And corpse runs, people did not like corpse runs either. Now, there are some people who do like that, and they prefer that in games, but the vast majority of gamers do not. And City of Heroes wanted to have some sort of a death penalty, but they didn't want to have things like corpse runs, because you're not going to have a corpse, right? You haven't died, so it wouldn't make sense. So now we have to find 3 landmarks in here, I guess. Not really sure. This is a Devouring Earth. Okay. And so instead of doing corpse runs, and instead of losing experience, what City of Heroes said is, we're going to have you get a decrease to what you're doing in the future. So, for example, you get XP debt, right? 3 misses in a row, just wonderful. You get experience debt. So what happens is your experience, your leveling pace will be slower in the future while you're working off debt. Right, essentially it cuts the rate of experience gain in half, because half of the experience is going to paying off debt. And early on there was very high levels of debt. I mean, you got a lot of debt when you died, and I mean, there were people who had a whole entire level worth of debt, you know, all the way up. I've, since coming back to this game, never had more than maybe half a bar of debt. But that's certainly not how it was at the beginning. You gained a lot of debt from dying. And especially early on, people were not that good at the game because we didn't know how to play it yet. And they died a lot more. So for example, my character Silver Phoenix, who is on the Homecoming server, if you watch that playthrough, I think the first time she actually died solo in the entire run-through was like level 13 or 15 or something. And it was a dumb mistake. I forgot that I was doing a flashback mission, right? And as a consequence, I hear more guys upstairs, as a consequence of not realizing, see, why is Akharist in here? Didn't we kill him according to the clue? We attempted to contact. He fought and perished in the battle, but he left behind a cryptic message, so now he's alive again. Are they going to explain that? My recollection is they didn't. In any case, if you watch that Scrapper series, you will see that I didn't die until I accidentally went into a flashback mission and didn't realize, and forgot that I was in a flashback mission when I fought the elite boss, and I didn't realize that I did not have some of the powers that I normally have. Oh, this guy's going to be a pain if he keeps healing this guy. kill him. Alright, so now let's pacify Acarist. And let's go back into our hide. Come on. Why are we not hitting? I don't know. Just attack him. So, and then what was it, level 32 or something until I legit died again when I wasn't in a flashback mission being stupid. Right? And if I hadn't made that mistake in the flashback mission, I would not have died until level 32. Not even a single time. Compare this with when I first played City of Heroes and my Scrapper was dying regularly against things like Vajalox and stuff. Because I didn't know how to play yet. And so, let's try pacifying again. Build up, assassinate. There we go. No clue about him. So I don't know how he was alive here. It really felt the last time I did this like they just put a boss in to put a boss in, which is kind of frustrating to me. Put a different boss in. He should be dead. Or tell me how he rezzed or something. Maybe they will. So yeah, I didn't die for 32 levels solo. Now I did die a few times in group missions, and of course, when City of Heroes first came out, I was playing with a bunch of my friends, and I was doing group stuff with them. But even solo, I died a lot. I remember being like 7th level or something, and dying repeatedly, and having to call a friend of mine who was a blaster in, and the two of us died repeatedly trying to complete that mission, and it was just because it was a couple of yellow cons, I don't know, Vajalox or something, and we just didn't know how to handle it. Now I know what I'm doing, so I don't die as much. So we got a lot more debt back in those days. But the idea of debt was it slows your forward progress, but you don't lose any progress. You don't have to do a corpse run, right? You just go back to the hospital, you come back into the mission, and you go right back to where things were, and you retire the debt. And that was actually something very new. Now that kind of thing is done in MMOs a lot, and the death penalties in most MMOs are much less severe than they used to be. But when City of Heroes first came out, it had probably the least severe death penalty of any MMO, certainly that I had interacted with, or of any of the people that I knew had played. I think I hear a glowy. Yep. There it is. Dead body. Is this him? Let's see. Apparently that is not him. So we have to keep going. Is this a really big map? Oh yeah, it's not too big. It's somewhat big. So yeah, there's a lot of things that City of Heroes did that were different from other MMOs. And another thing they did that was an innovation was not tying your loot to your appearance. Right? So it doesn't matter what you're carrying, right? You can look however you want. In a lot of games, you know, you had to you wore armor. The armor was on you. Everybody could see it, and that if you wanted that armor, you had to look that way, right? And players would get frustrated by this because they're like, "But I have a certain look." Like you'd put a helmet on, and it would obscure your character's face and hair, and you're like, "But I don't want it to obscure the character's face and hair." Take the helmet off, you just lost some armor class, right? Take the big bulky armor off because you want to look different from that. You don't like this particular armor because you don't like its color or its look or its shoulder plates or whatever it is that it has. And instead of saying, well, I want to look the way I want to look, you have no choice but to look the way the armor makes you look, because you've got to wear that armor in order to get the stats. And one of the innovations City of Heroes had was the stats are done by your enhancements, but the enhancements are invisible to anyone. So you can look however you want and have the stats that you want, and they're not tied to each other. That was another innovation that people really liked, because then you got to make the character look whatever way you wanted the character to look, which is pretty cool. Okay, so Soul of Ashton Fletcher. The surface of this perfect geometric crystal was inscribed, blah, 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 blah. A single point of light lies within the crystal. You hold it in your hands. The thoughts of Ashton Fletcher. Oh. Ask Akira's second message. The second message is a pen in a spidery hand. From your root, I can see that you must have one of the Novus Carthago crew with you. Understand that such a creature's knowledge is fragmentary at best. Be on your guard. Invisible eyes watch you. Do you understand now? Do you judge us? It was all we could do once we learned that the forces that threatened us, we needed flesh, and so we took it. We have become inhuman and corrupt. But it doesn't say how he lived. So I guess we found where the guy died, but it doesn't really say anything about him. I'm still trying to figure out how Akaris survived. Thanks for helping Ashton's soul get his bearings. Now that he's oriented himself, he should be able to take us to the underground library where the rest of the circles and prison souls are kept. You say the circle mystic was there again, Akaris? How strange. These messages he keeps sending you are so cryptic. What's he getting at? It's weird because I thought I killed him. Let's see, how long have we been doing this? 21 minutes? I think we have time for one more mission. With your help, one of the trapped souls you recovered has shown us the way to the Great Library of Souls deep within the ruins of Orenvega. The souls of hundreds, possibly thousands of paragons missing are trapped down there. Tiger Shrike, will you liberate those souls? Is this the final? I could swear there was more story to this. That we fought Akaris more than 3 total times. Okay, so we're going to go to BRICKSTOWN, so I'm going to just go ahead and shortcut this a little bit. Yeah, so guys, as you play City of Heroes, if you are playing it on the private servers, whether it's Rebirth or Homecoming or what have you, one thing to think about is how different not only this game plays from the way it originally launched, but how different this game even now plays, and similar to how it originally played. How many innovations are still in this game that were really new and original and different in City of Heroes when it came out in 2004? And it's not just one, right? They didn't just innovate one thing. They innovated a whole bunch of things, some of which have been ignored by the wider MMO development community, sadly, like sidekicking and the instant scaled missions and stuff that work exactly to your level. Some of them have been ignored by the MMO developers, and some have not. They came up with a lot of cool ideas. I can hardly see anything here because of how bright it is in my front room. I'm sorry, but no choice about that. It's just the way the sun works in this part of the neighborhood, and window faces east, and I can't really put the computer somewhere else because I don't have anywhere else to put it. The zig is going to be in my way, so I'll go this way, I guess. So yeah, City of Heroes innovated in a whole lot of ways that that really made it a pioneering game, and lots of the things that they did with it, to be honest, as a player now, I completely take for granted. But as a player, when we started, I deeply appreciated, because they really got rid of a lot of things that players disliked in MMOs, but were considered essential for having sort of like a hardcore experience. Okay, where is this thing now? It's down below. Now I gotta find it. I always hate trying to find this in here because there's only like one way to get underneath. And especially with the way the sun is in the room right now, I'm gonna have a darn hard time finding it. You have to go like way the heck out of your way. I'm gonna pause this here, guys, and when I get to the mission entrance, I'll bring you back. Well, I need to pause. It was only like 30 seconds. I was able to find the way under without too much trouble. Okay, so we now have to find 10 soul crystals. This may be the finale, so I guess we should beat everybody up. kind of feel like if this is going to be the last mission, we should... Are you kidding me? What did I roll? I rolled a 97. That is really annoying. Alright, let's get this thing back. We'll do it without the build-up. At least we killed him in one shot. Oh, did I have somebody behind me? No, I thought I had somebody behind me. Try to get out of this stupid mud. Alright, we got him. Well, this is a huge mission, and we've already done 10 minutes, so maybe I won't kill everything. Let's just find the crystals. I forgot that it had been a while since I started, and I don't want to make this a 90-minute mission. So we'll kill the guys near the crystals so that they don't hit me while I'm trying to click, but otherwise we're just going to try to finish this up so that we can end the episode. So there's one. Got a clue. These crystals glow brightly. Let's just make sure there's nothing else. Okay, doesn't look like it. Next door. Yeah, so, you know, for those of you who are watching, leave in the comments if you want. Which innovation of City of Heroes do you think was the best? To me, it's the sidekicking, even though I don't actually use it much. Certainly not while playing solo. I think that it was a great feature that really made the game so much more kind of user-friendly to all the players who were playing it. Alright, let's see here. There's a spot up there. And there's a glowy. There usually is up here. Yeah, are there innovations that I've named that I think are great that you don't think are so great? Maybe you like corpse runs and have a good reason why you like them and you wish they had them in City of Heroes. I certainly don't, but, you know, obviously to each his own. Okay, I don't see anything here, so we're going to head back up. Oh, going the wrong way. Head on out. Should be some glowies around here. Yep, there's one. Oh, oh, oh. Went down, but we'll go back up. There we are. That's one. I'm sure there's probably another one in this room somewhere. Let's go through. Okay, don't see any others. I don't hear anything. Come on. Why am I stuck? There we go. Okay, another huge room. And I hear another. There we go. I sort of vaguely remember where these glowy points are, kind of as I'm running through. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you where they are, like, on the map, but kind of as I'm going through it, I'm remembering, oh yeah, there was one over there, and I was having trouble finding it, and that kind of stuff. This is a really cool map, I have to say. I have a friend who utterly hates it, because of how easy it is to get lost and stuff, but I think it's really cool. And you can see how much easier it is when you can move in that third dimension. To just sort of avoid... Is that Akarist? No. Find the intruder. You're never gonna find me, buddy. I'm hidden. Alright, so let's head north. If I can find the exit point. Down here. Perhaps? Yep. Yeah, he doesn't like it because of how maze-like it is and how hard it is to find things. But it's definitely cool looking. Alright, so this gets us back here. So we don't need that. Keep going north. Another doorway. We still have 6 soul crystals to find. There's one. Probably more in here, I would think. Got another clue. Darkened soul crystal. Okay. I hear another one, I think. Get out. There. I hear another one. It's getting louder. Who saw me? Oh, I must not have been hidden yet. Come on, get up. There we go. Alright, enough. Alright. Let's go ahead and buff the 2-hit till we can hit him. There we go. And one more guy. There we are. And now we can click the glowy. So we're down to 3. And I hear another one. So there are a lot of them in here. It's getting quieter. There. Wow, they put a lot of them right next to each other. 2 to go. Alright, there is an upper level here, so let's explore that. Up above. Somewhere. Okay, let's just go in through here, rather than me trying to find it where I can't barely see. Alright. So there is something up there, but let's look through this way first. I think we've also got some areas possibly down here. I don't think so, though. We're coming to the end of this, because I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Don't think there's anything where this may be the ending. I hear glowies. And there's Akarist again, but where's the glowy? I don't see it. There it is. Okay. So there's going to be one more somewhere else. Oh, right there. There's two of them. Okay. So let's do a pull. Okay, good. Acros didn't come for me. And now we'll finish this guy off. Let's go ahead and hit haste so that everything recharges faster. Oh, Librarian, it's not Acarist. Okay. I thought that was Acarist. Alright, well, we're going to have to take this guy up first because he's going to be too much of a pain. Come on. Oh, great. There we go. Alright, now we placate this guy. Look how slow he's made me. And we should be able to take him out. I can't believe how much easier these guys are for this character than for my Scrapper. And I don't think it has to do with any particularities of the build. It's just that she can assassinate the troublesome guys, and that enables her to just bypass a lot of the struggles that the Scrapper had. And she can also run through these really tight tunnels without aggroing things. One more guy to collect. And that completes the mission. Don't see any reward merits, so that means we're not done with the story arc. I didn't think so. Alright, let's call our buddy, and then we will end this episode. Peter! No? Where do I have to go now? Oh, we gotta go back to Azuria. Okay, I'll pause it and head back to Azuria. Okay, we're back. And then we're going to take these crystals to Azuria. My guess is she's going to then be attacked by the Circle of Thorns or something, but I don't remember, so we'll see. Click. I am relieved that you've recovered these souls. As we learn more about these severed souls, I foresee a day when we'll be able to release them from the crystals. And he says, it will take Magi years to sort through all the souls that in those crystals and put them to rest, but without you, Tiger Shrike, we wouldn't even have a chance. You know, I've been thinking, do you remember Ashton Fletcher, the sailor from the 1600s, whose soul was the first crystal you found? For what we know, the Circle of Thorns started in the 1920s when Baron Zoria discovered Ornbega and unlocked its magic. So how could Ashton have been trapped by the Circle of Thorns way back in the 17th century? I have a feeling that the souls you recovered might have some things to tell us. Yes, because the Circle is a lot older than they think. But we will find out about that next time, for this is already 37 minutes, this episode, or a little more than that. So we're going to stop here, and I'll come back in the next episode to do more of this story arc. Until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes on the Rebirth server.